Hello, everybody. Hello, beautiful souls. Come on in. Welcome, welcome. I will be sharing this afterwards, so I will go ahead and get started in just a moment here. I'm just going to smudge the space here. A little bit of sage. All right, today we are talking about voice activation. I realized, oh geez, I'm about to smoke myself out. I realized that with all the festivals and workshops and events and private sessions that I do, I don't get on here enough and talk about voice activation and what even is it, right? What is voice activation? Who is it for? I get a lot of questions, and I wanted to take it upon myself to answer those questions live, as well as bring in a beautiful story, a share from a woman who was recently deeply impacted by a voice activation workshop. And I'll share more a bit about that and her as I introduce her shortly. But I wanted to, hop on and use my voice to speak about voice activation. So a lot of people think that voice activation is for singers, is for people who want to sing, and full stop, that's what it is. But actually, it's not just about singing. In fact, it is so much more than singing. It is about healing and strengthening our relationship with our voices so that we can speak our truth, so that we can ask for what we need, so we can set our boundaries, articulate our desires, ask that raise for a boss, or have that difficult conversation with your partner or friend. I believe voice activation has something to offer for everybody. And so when we work with the voice, right, we're working with the organ of the soul. The voice is a direct living connection to the deepest parts of who you are. When you connect with the voice, not for singing, not for show, not for performance, but for connecting with that deep wisdom of your soul, you can really get to know yourself a lot better. And so as somebody who has taken years to really find my voice and to find my truth, and now to boldly share it with the world far and wide, it has become such a passion, a fire inside me to support others in liberating their voice, in sharing their truth, in speaking their truth, in writing it, in expressing it with movement, with sound, right? So you think about lifetimes of suppression, whether it's your ancestors, whether it's past life, you were hung as a witch, doesn't even really matter, but there's so many different journeys that we're all coming through as far as connecting with the voice. And I'm all for understanding and looking at what may be the reasons for why we've been suppressed. Maybe we were told as a child to stay quiet, or that we were too much, or maybe we were told we couldn't sing, and so we kept our voices hidden. Now, stories are all well and good, but they don't really serve us that much more, other than being able to wrap a narrative around what's happened. So ultimately, when we look at our voices, we're looking at connecting to the organ of the soul to stimulate the vagus nerve, to downregulate the nervous system, and to really be able to connect with ourselves on a deep level. And your voice doesn't need to sound good to heal you. It's really about allowing yourself to drop in. And I've tried a lot of things on my healing journey, from every plant medicine under the sun, to meditating 10 hours a day, 10 days straight, to living in an ashram, all the things. And it wasn't until I really started to heal myself with breath work, with different instruments, and with my voice, that I was really able to open to greater capacity of sharing myself and speaking my truth. So I'll be putting some FAQs on my website and sharing a lot more about the journey that I've gone through in connecting with my voice, for speaking, for singing, for writing. But I wanted today to introduce a beautiful soul who I met at the Festival of Alternative Relationships. Her name is Bridget, or Bridgie, and she's moved from Tasmania a year ago. She makes the best vegan rosemary chocolate chip cookies in the world, has been known to pat big trees. And when I met her at Festival of Alternative Relationships, we didn't get to drop in super close. I did the workshop, a voice activation workshop, and needless to say, I heard back from the facilitators, it was the highlight for most people at that festival, and I was so touched to hear that. And then I bump into Bridgie, or Bridge, whatever. I bumped into Bridge at Secret Valley Festival, and she showed me a tattoo on her solar plexus, and she goes, this was because of our voice activation workshop and some really big things that happened as a result of that experience. So I wanted to bring her on, and I'm going to attempt to do this while I talk. We'll have a bit of an exchange, but I thought, what more potent than to hear from Bridget herself. Hi, darling.
Hi,
Welcome.
thank you. How you doing?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Yes, yeah, my headphones are a bit weird, but
All
I
good.
don't have any other things.
All good. We can hear you. Yeah, so I thought, yeah, as I mentioned, I really just wanted to keep this a casual chat and to hear
Mhm.
about your experience. And when you showed me your tattoo, I was a bit blown away, and I was setting up camp, and I just thought I need to reach out to this woman and hear her story. And
Yep.
yeah, maybe just tell me, yeah, have you ever done anything like that before? And yeah, just share a bit about your journey.
Like the voice activation, that workshop.
Yeah.
No. So I mean, I've done lots of talk therapy. I've been seeing psychologists since I was little. And so I mean, I have done mindful integrated cognitive behavioral therapy for a long time. But I got to the Festival of Alternative Relationships just from a few things that happened in my life where I had moved from Tassie to Sydney, and I'd left a relationship that had taken up half my life after realizing that I wasn't straight or monogamous. And so I was kind of in this like big transition period, and I still am in that at the moment. And so I went to this festival. I didn't know many people, and I was feeling yeah, I was feeling quite lost. And I just saw people. I saw you talking at the start of the workshop, and you were saying this is for anyone that is worried about what people think about them at this festival, or they are just looking for they feel like there's this barrier to them reaching their full potential. And I was like, oh, okay. And that's what made me join. Because I saw it and I was like, oh, maybe that's not for me. But then hearing you talk is what made me join. And then no, I haven't. That's the first, yeah, experience of something like that.
Amazing. Awesome. I'm so glad I could lure you in.
Yeah, yeah,
That wouldn't be the first time I've heard that at festivals. They
yeah.
weren't planning to go, but something I said, so yay. And yeah, tell me more.
Well, then I think at the start you said, "Oh, some people have a really intense reaction to this," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I'm very open to other alternative therapies. I mean, I work in Western medicine, but I'm very open to alternative therapies, and so I was going in with an open mind. But within like 2 minutes, I just had tears completely streaming, like it just, and it wasn't even like I was controlling them. It was just this tap, and I was like, "Oh, this is getting pretty intense," and then it's because I think there was about 60 people potentially at the workshop, so it was just kind of building. Um, and I mean, I have started doing lots of yoga. I do yoga most mornings, and so I was learning about the chakras then, and just hearing you kind of connect all the different energies. I was just like, oh, this is really intense. But it was more your affirmations that you were saying, and it was me having to repeat positive affirmations about myself, which I have struggled with. And like I'm a late diagnosed autistic ADHD, so I've kind of spent my whole life just feeling very different. And I think I've got to the point in my life where it's all manifested in different ways. Like I've got alopecia, I've got achalasia, and I've got gastroparesis, which is a lifetime of having eating disorders and bulimia that's then caused my body to kind of go into this like pretty this state that's not it's not, that's kind of, it's, I'm trying to heal it in a way. It's just been high cortisol for a long, long time. So, yeah, I think I was just, yeah, I was just having this really intense reaction. And yeah, it was the positive affirmations that I was like, my God, I don't say that stuff about myself a lot.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was you talking about, yeah, there's this person you want to be, but you feel like there's this something blocking you, and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel and you just want to push it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, because you're at this festival where people are, they're living really alternate lifestyles in a world that doesn't really facilitate that. We live in a very capitalist, individualist life. And so just be around people that don't live that way is really refreshing. And it's also just an insight into how we could be if we weren't, if we didn't have to rely on our labor. But yeah, so it was kind of at the end where by the end of it, I was just sobbing, crying. And I think I went up to you and I just was like, oh my God, that was intense. And I gave you a hug, but you were getting all these women, it's mostly women coming up to you, just like sobbing on your shoulder. And the day before I'd done a workshop on shadow work, and I struggled to recover post that. Like I can't, because I didn't have anywhere to like wind down because it was really hot. So I couldn't go back to my tent for space. The river, I mean, I get eczema, so I didn't want to go swimming in the
Yeah.
river that was stagnant. So I was just like, I couldn't wind down. Whereas the night before, that the owners had said you can go up into the hills. And so after I finished your workshop, I just made a beeline for the hills, and I passed my friend. He's like, oh, how was yoga? And I was like, wasn't at yoga. I need to have a meltdown. I need to go up into the hills. And he was like, okay. And so then, yeah. And then I just went up and I just like ugly cried for about 10 minutes. And I kind of explained it as I felt like this kind of energy shift and this acceptance of, at the time, I didn't really know what had overly gone wrong in my relationship or why I was still feeling the way I was feeling. And all these memories were just coming back of like, I don't, like I said to you previously, I don't want to go too much into detail, but it was just all these memories that came back that kind of made me realize a few, like there were people that were close to me that really, really, really bullied me. And it's kind of shaped the way I find myself and attract different people. Or I have this warped view of how friends or people close to you should treat you, because it's just, I had some really toxic, and yeah, all these memories were coming back that I'd forgotten. And I ended up messaging a few friends being like, wow, that was a really intense period. And they were like, and yeah, anyway, for me, that was just this real understanding that I was kind of in this world that wasn't overly, there was definitely amazing parts of that world, but there was also parts that weren't good for me. And I was obviously very lost for a long time. I was bulimic the entire time I was in my teens and my 20s, and I was just completely trying to figure myself out. So I think for me, it was that real like shedding of like just this really negative, like, because I genuinely did not like the person I was. And I'm still kind of working on that now, but I made, there's things that I did and things that I said that I just have had to like, I've had to kind of address, and I'm still dealing with that. But I think it was just this like, yeah, just trying to shed these past expectations of myself or these past behaviors of myself. And it was this, yeah, it just felt like this huge amount of energy just shifted. And I because that whole weekend I'd been really struggling because I'd been trying to act how I thought I should be acting because everyone seems so cool and like, and so at ease. But then, now I'm friends with a lot of them now, and everyone has their own things going on. So, but it's just, at the time I was like, oh my gosh, these people are all incredible. And I was just really struggling with trying to fit in, which has just been a constant theme with trying to belong my whole life. And then, yeah, so then I had that big cry and was a few realizations. And then I was like, all right, I feel better. And then I got up to leave, and I just turned and packed up my yoga mat, and I saw on the tree next to me, there was a cicada exiting its exoskeleton. And I just laughed, and I was like, oh, that's pretty symbolic. And like, I took a photo of it because I'd never seen that before. It's pretty incredible. And I mean, that was the time when, yeah, the cicadas were all out, and like driving to the festival, I had my windows down and didn't have the music playing. I just had the cicada sound. I mean, I love that sound.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just was like, oh, that's really symbolic. And then I was like, right, well, I've got to get a tattoo of a cicada now, because I kind of, when I get tattoos, they kind of symbolize, like I get them as like a kind of like a healing point, or like something big's happened here, I want this. Yeah, so then that's what made me get the cicada. And ideally, I would like to have like, yeah, a line all the way up to my throat at some point, but I don't think I'm there yet.
Yes. Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that. For those watching or tuning in, this is the first time I've heard this story, and I wanted it to be a live share because, yeah, I think the power of sharing and allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to share your story, I think is medicine in and of itself,
Yeah.
right? To get on camera and to allow ourselves to share about how we maybe didn't feel like we fit in, or we were nervous, or we were whatever, right? And um, we are so biologically hardwired to give a shit about what people think about
Yes.
us. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, we all put on these brave faces
Yeah.
and we rock up at the festival like, we're cool shit. And we may come across, right? And
Yeah.
I think the power in the vulnerability, in the like letting ourselves be raw and to share like I don't really know anybody, or this is new
Mm,
for me, or whatever it
mm,
may be. So yeah, just really appreciative of you agreeing to this and to sharing your
yeah.
experience, and you touched on the power of the affirmations, and that's a
Mm,
really big one. So for those who haven't experienced a voice activation journey with me, we're toning in each of the energy centers and using your voice to clear, cleanse, and purify each of the centers, right? So, root chakra, where did you not feel safe sharing your voice?
mhm,
Sacral, any sexual shame or blocks in our creative life force. Solar is all about boundaries, confidence, right? And so on. And with each of the centers, we do some affirmations to really support. Curious to know for you, what was kind of the biggest center that you really felt was a big catalyst and a reclamation of power or acceptance?
I mean, normally I find that it's the chakra that's connected with your hips. Like I can tell when I'm having problems with that because I do lots of yoga, and if I feel like I need to do lots of stretching with my hips, I can tend
Mm,
to cause a lot of tension there. But I think for me, it's definitely like defining the voice and kind of um, yeah, just being authentic, I would say. So I think for a long time I was lying about things about myself, just because I didn't know there was, I was living in Tasmania. I didn't know there were alternate ways to living, and um, yeah, I mean, obviously, like realizing that I wasn't straight and that I was queer, and then going to queer spaces and just finding my voice and just immediately just like slotting in. Like the first time I went to my first queer party because I'd separated from my ex, and my dad had made a comment to my ex that he hadn't seen me so alive for a long time, and post a party, and I was just, yeah, I think so. For me, it's, yeah, definitely the throat is where I feel that's been quite blocked, and I think with being around people that weren't safe for me, meant that I kind of like, yeah, just felt like I couldn't express what I wanted to. But I mean, I did it's kind of tricky because I've always been known as having a bit of a, like people would say, oh, Bridget, you've always had a voice, but it's like actually having
mm,
boundaries and what
mm,
and protecting yourself. Yeah, yeah, I struggle with, and I've kind of been the like a support for a lot of people to the detriment of myself.
mm.
Um, and then like there's been times that's been really hard. Um, and yeah, so I'm someone that is unfortunately kind of easily manipulated by people. And so I think, yeah, definitely the throat chakra is feeling blocked, and yeah, not owning your truth. So that's the one that I resonate with the most.
Mm. Powerful. And let us recorrect. You once were a person who let people
Yes, yes,
take your power, but no longer, because the words that we use are so important.
yes,
And
yes, no, yeah,
I'm constantly watching how I talk about my relationship, whether
yeah,
it's with finances, whether it's with my business. And my friends will regularly hear me go, "Correction, universe, that's not what I meant." Because yeah, it is. And it's just because I'm so mindful of this space with words and voice and
yeah,
all that. But yeah, that's huge. And I'm really yeah, just so tickled that you had such a powerful experience, and that yeah, it literally left a mark on you
yeah,
is in the form of this tattoo. So Thank you so much. I guess if there's anything, someone who has been on the fence of trying voice activation, what would you have to say to them?
I mean, I guess it's just like, I mean, I'm a registered nurse, and we have we have this thing with Western medicine that it's superior because I don't know, we're ruled by Western imperialism, right? But it's just like there's some practices that have been around for such a long time that to completely dismiss it is just a really narrow way to live. And yes, absolutely, there are a lot of benefits to Western medicine. I'm not saying that, like it's literally my job, but that I also see the other side of it where it has lost a lot of the holistic nature about health. I've got lots of hot takes when it comes to Western medicine in nursing, but I think for me it was just, I think a lot of people at that workshop went to it because they were like, I'll give it a go. And then there was such a resounding response to it. And these people are open minded because they have already gone to a festival of alternative relationships, sure. But it's more just also being with a group of people where people are, expressing their pain or saying positive affirmations, and you're playing the music. So it's this really intense experience. And then it's kind of like connecting as well, because you're all, I mean, everyone's voices sound differently, and you're not trying to, not trying to hit certain notes. But I just think like, yeah, I just, why not give it a try if I've done talk therapy, I've done mindfulness, integrative cognitive behavioral therapy, and I still do that now. And I generally had such an intense experience to it because it's also just letting out energy that's contained in your body. And I get acupuncture for that as well. Like sometimes I'll literally book an acupuncture appointment because I'm like, I can't get rid of this energy, when previously I would have been bulimic. That was how I would get rid of that energy. And so I'm still learning how to, when I'm feeling completely overwhelmed, and I'm learning to do EFT tapping, which is helping. But we're our bodies are so connected, and I think it's, all the different energy centers. I just, to completely dismiss it when it's been, you know, when it's been happening for thousands of years, I think is just,
Yeah.
it's not, not to call people narrow-minded, but it's not, it's just, it's kind of boring in a
Yeah.
way because, like it's just, yeah, I think why not give it a go? And you might learn something about yourself. It's also just cathartic to kind of say these positive affirmations, to have someone saying, this is for you to get like pushing you to kind of break through that barrier. Like it's just a cathartic experience.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not going to make you go
Yeah.
backwards. Like, like it's not like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've talked to lots of people about it, and there's a mixed reaction. But I told my mum and my dad, and they were both just like, well, whatever, like if that whatever helps. But I mean, my mum loves. I mean, we're very spiritual, so she loved the cicada, and she doesn't like tattoos, but she appreciates my tattoo. Yes,
Oh, beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah, and as you said, what we don't, express, we suppress. And so
mm,
if it's not moved with breath, with movement, with sound, it just stagnates in the body and
mm,
causes all the ailments. And like you also said, talk therapy is great, but
yeah,
there's only so much we can really talk through. It keeps us in the cerebral cortex. So to
yeah,
work with the voice without label, without words, without pitch, without focus on technique, but literally just creating a ceremonial
yeah,
space to connect to the organ of the soul as a cleansing agent,
yeah,
not as a let's sound good and let's perform. It's like, no, let's just strengthen that relationship with our voices so we feel more comfortable using the voice when we need to speak our truth and express
yeah,
our boundaries.
yeah,
And I think the affirmations are so powerful, and what because our reality is shaped by our beliefs, and beliefs are
mm,
thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. And
mm,
what are the recurring narratives being played in our head? I'm not enough, there's not enough, da, da,
mm,
da, 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 whatever it is. When
mm,
it's like I make now my number one priority tending to, my vibration, tending to that undercurrent of thoughts, so that I can plant new thoughts that make me feel happy,
mm,
and new songs in my head. So I
mm.
want to thank you again so much for joining.
No worries.
And
I can, do you want me to show, do
yeah, I'll
you want me to show the tattoo? I
yes,
can, I can show.
oh yes, please
Yeah.
show the tattoo.
Can you see it? Oh, can you see it?
There we
There you go.
go. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Fun
beautiful.
fun fact. it's in the center of my body, but your belly button isn't centered in your body. So that's why it's off center to my belly button.
Ah,
If you look
and
at
it's
your belly
also your
button,
it's right at your solar plexus, your
yeah,
center of power, of confidence, of boundaries, of taking action. And yeah, oh, what a powerful, powerful symbol. And yeah, really, again, I really, really appreciate you hopping on and
no
sharing this
worries.
story. So I'll let you go. I'll share a few more things for those who are keen to tune in. But thank you so much, Bridge.
No worries. See you tomorrow. See ya.
See you. Bye. So for those who well, first, let me just say, if you have experienced a voice activation workshop or an experience of mine and it touched you, it left an impact, and you feel called to share your story, like, let's hop on, let's have a chat, because I think it's so important. Like, look, I can ask you to send me a video testimonial, but I want to have a chat and I want to give you an opportunity to share your story, to share what moved for you, because I believe the more we share our story, the more we bridge the gap between us and one another, and we make visible what a lot of us are hiding and repressing and putting on these brave faces, right? I talk about overcoming my anxiety and depression, and then I also share how it's a journey, and there are days I still wake up anxious, and there are days I sometimes don't want to get out of bed. And so for me to hop on here and be like, namaste, I'm perfectly perfect, doesn't really do many people much good. So I really, really wanted to emphasize the power of storytelling. So if you have had an experience and want to share your story, do reach out. I'd love to hear it. Whether it's a live or just a message, it would mean the world to me. And for those who are interested in experiencing what we have spoke about, voice activation, you can actually get access to the whole 1 hour workshop in the form of a masterclass on my website. So if you want to know more, just head to the link on my Instagram bio. I'll put a link somewhere here for the other platforms I share it. But yeah, it's $55. Really not much to risk other than a lot to gain from connecting with your voice. So do let me know how you go. And I look forward to connecting with you all at a festival or a workshop, or perhaps at my album launch party. 21st of June, it's happening, people. 6th of June, I've actually just geared the album to go out with the songs and all that. So while I'm here, do pre-save the album. I'll put a link in that as well. The more people who listen to it, I believe the better the world will be. It's been pretty much the culmination of my voice activation journey, is being able to put words behind it and to create this entire album. So less sound healing vibes and crystal bowls and more, yeah, guitar, singer-songwriter vibes. So I think that's it for me today. And well, maybe I'll turn it if anyone has any questions. I know there's just a few of us left, but welcome to ask any questions. Otherwise, I shall let you all get back to your regularly scheduled program, well, whatever you are distracting yourself from with Instagram. All right. Thank you so much. Lots of love to you all. Blessings and happy upcoming full moon, BT dubs. This is a really big one in shadow work. So looking at where we may have repressed or suppressed parts of ourselves that maybe we deemed unlovable or not fitting into societal programming. So I'll just leave that food for thought. I just shared a story about a podcast on from Rewilding for Women. So definitely check it out. And I'll see many of you at tomorrow's sold out dance and sound bath. Lots of love. Thanks again.